Deputy Grand Chief Nan was asking for more than $30 million to ensure a safe return to school for students. Is the funding announced by the feds earlier this week going to be enough?
No, the funding announcement is for $112 million nationwide, and that when you consider it, that's roughly 630 First Nations across Canada. So you divide that by 112 million. When we are asking for 33 million for 49 First Nations, so that's not going to be enough for us. Not nearly enough. That's not going to be enough for the First Nations across Canada either.
You said that students and educators will now be scrambling to try to prepare for classes in September. How many students do you think will miss the start of school?
Many students will miss the start of school. We don't know the exact number because the jurisdiction lies within the First Nations of our communities. It lies with the schools, the educators, and of course the leadership within those communities, and of course the parents, students. So up until this point, our students and our schools are left with a decision to make come September 8th. They're going to need to decide whether they start school without any support from the government. So they'll need to either decide that or delay the start of the school year. So far, we know that some communities are delaying, some are going to go back to school, but those who go back to school will need to dip into funds that are not there for them. So they'll be going into some of their education funds that are there due to prior education agreements prior to COVID. So they're going to go into bigger deficits using these funds that they don't have for this pandemic.
So you were pushing for this 33 million. What needs to happen to ensure all students are able to return to class safely?
Yeah, so this $33 million, it was 33 million divided by 9,000 students is roughly $3,600 per student. So that would have outlined, or that would have covered PPE gear, things like masks, sanitization supplies, the need to sanitize buses and the schools. That would have covered additional teachers, mental health support, all those things that you see in cities like Toronto and Thunder Bay and Ottawa that our school boards are receiving. So what needs to happen is that the federal government just needs to say yes to our proposals, say yes to the many proposals that are being worked on throughout the country, and they need to stop discriminating against our children and show some compassion and put themselves in the shoes of our parents and say, would you want your children going back to school in a setting that's not equipped for this pandemic?
With this in mind, how concerned are you about a possible COVID-19 outbreak, especially for those students who have to move away from home for high school?
I'm extremely concerned. There's always the possibility of an outbreak any given day at any given time. As we all know, we've learned a lot about this COVID-19, and it could pop up at any time. It could cause outbreaks in any school or work setting. And the problem within Nishnawbe Aski Nation is that 32 of our 49 First Nations are remote. We don't have access to the health funds or hospitals, health supports. We don't have access to the many services that are existent within our cities. So should an outbreak like this happen in our communities, we can expect to lose a lot of lives.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time and giving us your perspectives today, Deputy Grand Chief Fox.
Thank you.